What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We're joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers. I was telling the guys offline, we got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. And, of course, someone's just going to jump in here and interrupt us the last second. Just always late to everything, always just, kind of too cool for school.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Everybody, welcome to the show, Mr. Jacob Beer. Jacob, oh, wait. All right. What's up, Jacob? How you doing, man?
Here's the guy firing.
Are we live, or am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah. Oh,
No, we're live. We're live, sir. We're live.
Oh.
I repeat, we're live.
Could be a crackhead.
No, I'm not.
That was not me. That was not me.
He said, "No, I'm not." Everything good,
Hi, guys.
Jacob?
Yeah, everything's great. Just, is there anything to talk about?
No, I think we've got a few things. Yeah. Did you have something on your mind? You want to hit something else, or?
Well, I was just gonna highlight that yesterday, me and Tim were ready to go for the pod. Unfortunately, we forgot that there was none.
ready to
We
go.
were reading the chat. We were reading the chat too. You guys were like, it's funny watching like half the chat realize, oh, there's no show tonight. It's tomorrow. And then they still were in there talking smack to each other for like 20, 30 minutes. But anyways, had I been on yesterday, obviously there's the Jaire news. In addition to that, did you guys see that Robert Rochelle was signed by the Cowboys and looking to revamp that cornerback room? I didn't realize that, one, he was a 4th-round draft pick. That kind of blew past my brain. And he played on 41% of special team snaps for the Packers last year. So he had more of an impact, I think, than a lot of people maybe realized. Was it surprising to you guys that with all the cornerback issues and the way that I thought he graded out somewhat decently, are you surprised we let Robert Rochelle walk away?
I'm not really
super surprised. Sorry, Clay, go ahead.
I'm not really surprised because of Kalen King and Kamal Hadden. I think they probably had a higher draft grade on both of those guys, believe it or not. I don't think they were expecting Kamal Hadden to come available, as I believe it was the Chiefs that cut him loose. He was a 6th-round pick, but just because they took him in the 6th don't mean that Goody didn't have a much higher grade on him, and the board didn't fall the way he wanted. For me, I'm not like crazy about Rochelle. I was more of a fan of Corey Ballantyne than Rochelle personally. That was one that I was like, I'd like to have kept him around because I felt like he just brought a little bit more level of physicality. But what about you guys? Go ahead, Tim. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I agree. And, Rob Rochelle was one of my favorite special teamers. Like Jacob was saying, played almost half the special team snaps for us. But I wasn't that shocked that they let him go because he didn't play a lot of corner for us. And I think we were looking to get a little younger, faster, stronger at corner. And then plus, the acquisition of Nate Hobbs helped during free agency. So not totally caught off guard by that. And then I would probably co-sign your point too, Clay, that I think if I would have kept anyone, it would have been Ballantyne, probably over Rob Rochelle.
Right. And I think that all great points. I also think that,
You also think that Travis Glover could have played corner, right?
Well, that's an option. That's an option depending on if I got my hands, in updating his score there. But I would say that we also have a lot of safeties. So, I mean, you can look at it and say, hey, I don't need maybe one extra corner if I have an extra safety that I can throw in at nickel or I can do something like that. So maybe you're looking at it. I mean, down the line roster number, you got to get to 53. It is tough, but congrats on him. You got to keep going, keep playing.
Good stuff. All right, let's dive in. Since we're talking corner, let's jump into the topic that we're going to lead off with here. We finally get to have some complete closure with this Jaire Alexander thing. I want to make sure I'm very, very clear here. In no way, shape, or form is this segment geared towards, hey, let's make Goody out to be an idiot. It ain't geared toward let's try to demonize Jaire Alexander. The point is to try to take a detailed look at, okay, how did they get to this point? Let's try to learn something and see exactly what went wrong. And again, it's not about putting blame on anyone. It's just simply, here's what happened. Here are the facts. And here's kind of Jaire's side of the story. And also we've talked about the Packers side of the story this entire time. All right. So here we go. Jaire Alexander's father sounds off on his son's negotiations with the Packers. It's going to be a little bit lengthy. I'm going to try to pause in between and get your all's take on each of these points here. But let's just jump right into it. I put the end of the Jaire Alexander saga has officially arrived as he is signed with the Ravens. As we close this chapter in Packers history, let's recap Jaire's side of how things ended in Green Bay. So Landis Alexander, for those of you who don't know, went on ESPN Wisconsin yesterday, did a quick interview, about a 15-minute interview, right? And he posted on X between June 13th and June 18th of this year. He elaborated on during ESPN Wisconsin's interview, focused on three main issues: the Packers contract offer, the handling of Jaire's 2024 injuries, and misrepresentation about Jaire's willingness to negotiate. Below is a detailed breakdown of his remarks, organized by theme with direct quotes and context. All right. So number one, the Packers contract proposal and the lack of guaranteed money. All right. Landis Alexander, obviously Jaire's father, was highly critical of the Packers' proposed contract restructure, emphasizing that it offered no guaranteed money for 2025, which he deemed unacceptable for a player of Jaire's caliber. His specific comments included this. On the lack of guarantee, he said, quote, "The Packers sent over a proposal and it was like a non-proposal. To not have any guarantee in there was where we had the issue." Okay, that was part of that interview. He also said, quote, "Can't play on a contract with any guarantees." And another quote he had was he wasn't willing to play for damn near free. All right. On the offer structure, Landis described the offer as foolish to take, suggesting it was heavily incentive-laden with minimal base salary. One ex-post from Titletown Talks, citing Landis, claimed the Packers offered a $4.3 million deal, all incentive-based, with zero in guaranteed money. All right. While Landis did not confirm the exact figure in his own words, he endorsed the sentiment that the offer was insultingly low. Now, implications: Landis clarified that Jaire was very willing to structure. I repeat, he was very willing to restructure his existing deal, which had a $16.5 million non-guaranteed base salary for 2025, but the Packers' proposal relied on a per-game roster bonuses and other incentives, effectively tying Jaire's earnings to his availability each week. That was reported by the Acme Packing Company on June 14th. This structure, as Landis explained, meant Jaire would have to prove his health and performance weekly to earn his pay, a risky proposition for a 28-year-old with a recent injury history, 7 games played in 2024. He argued that such a deal was unreasonable for a former All-Pro, stating, quote, "He knows he's worth more, but he also knows he's been hurt." The lack of guarantees contrasted sharply with market standards for top cornerbacks such as L'Jarius Sneed's 2024 contract with the Titans, which is 4 years, $76.4 million with $55 million guaranteed. Now, it doesn't specify if it's practical guarantee, actual guarantee, but you get the gist of it. Landis's comments suggest Jaire sought at least partial guarantee to align with his proven value when healthy. Okay, now I want to say this. He did specifically say if it had been a $10 million deal, they'd have stayed. He said $8 million. He said, heck, $6 million, we wanted to be in Green Bay. So if they would have offered him the $6 million contract that Baltimore offered, he would have stayed in Green Bay, is basically what it's coming down to. Now, he's not saying it needed to be fully guaranteed, but the Packers basically said zero guarantee. Now, I know there's a lot of people, when we talk about this, and we'll get your all's take up to this point, and then we'll continue on with the article. I know there's many people, it's like, it needs to be incentive-based, it needs to be production-based, all that. So I imagine most people will probably agree with how the Packers handled it. You guys know where I stood at it. At the end of the day, I was thinking, man, if you can do $10 million guarantee and make him earn the other 7, I think it'd be worth it to bring him back. That was just me personally. So with that being said, let's pass it around. We'll start with you this time, Tim. I know you've been a big Jaire fan. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. I apologize, but I do want to get your take before you hear anybody else's, man. How do you feel about what we've learned here through Jaire's father? And again, this is Jaire's father's take. I have no reason to believe he's lying. It seems like everything kind of lines up with what he's saying here in terms of how the Packers do.
Things could be a lot worse. We could be Bears fans, right? I don't know, man. This seeing all this now, you're going to get, obviously he signed over there in Baltimore, so we're going to start to get some more information. I'm sure we'll hear even more in the days and weeks to come about some of these specifics. But yeah, it is kind of interesting that his pops is kind of taking the lead here, kind of speaking almost like he's kind of his representation. And in a lot of ways he is. I mean, that's family, that's his son. So he has every right to discuss what he wants. I think a lot of this points back to the fact I keep thinking about locker room clean out after the season last year. And I think maybe both sides just kind of knew that they were going to be parting ways. Honestly, I don't think maybe either one of the sides made super strong efforts to mend the relationship and see a future in Green Bay for Jaire. So that could explain why there were no incentives added to or the contract was heavily incentive laden for an offer, nothing guaranteed at all. I think that's kind of borderline insulting to a veteran player, if you ask me, that you're not going to guarantee at least part of the contract or part of the money. And we see what he got there in Baltimore, so I think it makes sense. We'll learn a little bit more here as we go on, but I'm just glad it's over, honestly, at this point. I don't know about how you guys feel, but I'm just kind of ready to move on and move forward. And clearly so was Jaire, and so were the Packers. So it's kind of how this went down.
Yeah, Holmes MD1 said, I listened to Josh Pops on KBN. The man sounded honest and genuine in explaining his perspective. Green Bay must not have wanted him. That would hurt my feelings as well. Emilio, the thing that really stood out to me as that whole interview was taking place and reading everything in between was the initial report by Rob Domofsky where they said Green Bay does not want him back. And fans just absolutely attacked Rob, saying, oh, he's just trying to run Ja out of town. They don't like Ja. The local beat reporters don't like Ja, on and on and on. Rob had it right. It seemed like the Packers were ready to move on from Ja. And, hey, let's throw one little, here you go, bub. If he accepts it, that's great news for the Packers. If not, we're ready to move on with Carrington and everyone else. But your thoughts so far, man?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. What was kind of sitting on my mind was if he's like vet minimum, don't they have to give him, some type of guaranteed money to get him to vet minimum? So even if it was $1 million and change, he'd be losing out on $3 million or whatever. But reading what Ron said here, no, the NFL collective bargaining agreement does not allow for no guaranteed money for 7-year vets. Mm-hmm. So
some of it must have been guaranteed in the offer,
right? So
that's where you get into the practical or actual. I think he's talking about actual, not practical.
Okay, yeah, because that's where I was like, some of it has to be guaranteed, right? So obviously it's not zero. But
let me explain real quick what I mean by that. With what Ja's dad was saying was it was going to be roster bonus. That is considered guaranteed, right? In just layman's terms, all right, that's guaranteed money. That if you're on the roster, you're guaranteed that money. But the players look at it like, if I'm not healthy, I'm not in the lineup. I'm not guaranteed that money. That's where Pat McAfee absolutely roasted Ian Rappaport for saying guaranteed money. And he said, is it really? He said, well, it's practical. And Pat McAfee lit his ass up like, that's not guaranteed. That's how the lingo is there. So within the CBA, when you talk about no guaranteed money, I guarantee you that falls under that category of guaranteed money. Go ahead, man.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, because I mean that's obviously you gotta go get that money, but it's just tough to look at it. We look at it. Hey, we didn't pay Aaron Jones that extra $1 million, right? We've had a couple of these close ones where we're a little bit off, but hey, we tried. Aaron Jones was older with injuries. He kind of played through some of them. He kind of wasn't on the field for some of it. So, but I do think that it's another thing about Ja. I think we might have started, but Halfley wasn't happy with him, right? In some maybe his plays there. But right here, I'm sorry, Ron also said, I remember Halfley showing some frustration with trying to game plan when he never knew if Ja would play. I think it was a big reason they decided to move on last year. To that point, Greg Cosell was talking with Ross Tucker, and they were saying that, Ja's more of like a keyer and a cluer is what he had said, saying like Ja's going to kind of eyeball the quarterback, play the triangle on the receiver, and want to jump those routes, kind of play out just a little bit outside of his realm or whatever. And you can't trust a guy all the time when he's playing like that.
No, you can't. Jacob, what you got, big dog?
Yeah, I think we learned two major things in the last 24 hours. I think one is that Packer fans drastically overvalued what Jaire Alexander's worth was. And I think Jaire Alexander drastically overvalued what his worth was in the eyes of the NFL. It's shocking.
You think God never farted?
It's shocking to me that he was able to get signed for $6 million whether or not it's fully guaranteed or not. To me, I think, again, we can deduce that from that the Packers didn't want him back. They didn't. And I think it's very clear that even to the point where I think that they could have offered him, you talk about 10 mil guaranteed. They could have offered him probably 5 mil guaranteed with 3 in incentives, and he sounds like he would have been back. They probably could have offered him 2 guaranteed with 4 incentive, and he would have been back. To me, it's very clear that I think the Packers were just done, that they saw the writing on the wall. They saw what they had. They saw the product that they got from the investment they made. The ROI wasn't worth anything what they thought it would be. And I think that mentally, like Ron commented on, I think that they just realized that he could be too far gone as far as being a cancer in the locker room, just with certain things he had done. And I think that in their eyes, they saw cut bait. We've got a new crop of guys coming in. This is a business. We're nowhere near. I mean, I couldn't believe how far away from that 17 million per year, you know what I'm saying, that the contract had him under, that teams weren't even willing to sniff a quarter of that barely, that's crazy. So, yeah, I think we have to read the tea leaves, and probably a lot of these, like you said, the press conferences, there's probably more truth in a lot of them than we wanted to believe at the time.
Yeah. And H.E. Soder says, reminder that the Packers training staff is more conservative. Job might get more games in Baltimore, but it could cost them something in the long term. I've been hearing this a lot, and this is something that's been talked about for the last decade, how conservative the Packers training staff is. This is a new training staff. It's a brand new training staff, right? And on top of that, if you think the Packers have been conservative, go say that to David Bakhtiari. Because David Bakhtiari's whole qualm was he was not ready to come back. He got pissed because the coaches and the training staff were trying to push him back on the field when his knee wasn't ready. Lo and behold, they put him out on the field. It swells up like a balloon, and then basically his career's over. And listen, could it have been over if that hadn't happened? It's possible. But I'm not one that subscribes to the Packers training staff as conservative. Jordan Love played with 3 injuries last year. Christian Watson went back in against Chicago and tore his ACL when he wasn't ready to go back in because Romeo Doubs was sick. I respectfully disagree with that take. And I remember hearing about this in 2013. Man, it just seems like the Packers are always holding their players out, and then other teams are playing with players that are hurt and this and that. And I used to believe it. I don't believe it anymore. And again, when you change training staffs, who else can you blame? It sounds like it's kind of an organizational thing. And I'm not even saying it should be blamed as a negative. Oh man, they need to change the way they do stuff. I'm just simply saying I can't agree with that take anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's, again, Kenny Clark. Why did Kenny Clark struggle last year, guys? He was hurt since week 1.
Right.
I mean, how many more examples do we need?
LBM played with a broken thumb.
You know what I'm saying? And again, this isn't the only team that plays with injuries. The NFL, you got to play hurt, right? Yeah. So this isn't a knock against the training staff or the Packers going, they're doing things wrong. I'm just simply pointing out, I don't think they're as conservative as we have all convinced ourselves, myself included, if that makes sense.
My knee.
And that's another example, ain't it? He went out there with a fractured leg, didn't he? They shot him up, and he was high as a kite after the game. So, man, anyway, all right. So let's move along here because there's some other key points I want to get to, including injury, by the way. But number 2 on this list, willingness to negotiate and misrepresentation. Landis vehemently disputed reports that Jaire was unwilling to take a pay cut or negotiate. You guys remember when that report came out that he was not willing to take a pay cut or renegotiate? His dad saying that was absolutely untrue. So I know we say, man, the players' side, they get their PR team out there and try to, paint this picture like their client's perfect, right? But on the flip side, I guarantee we know that report didn't come from the Packers or didn't come from Jaire. It came from the Packers, right? So they were kind of playing a little tug of war there as well. It says framing the issue as the Packers' refusal to offer a fair deal rather than Jaire's inflexibility. His key statements include on Jaire's willingness to restructure. This is not true. In response to claims that Jaire refused to negotiate his contract. Nobody ever said he wouldn't take a pay cut. He wasn't willing to play for darn near free is a better quote, is what he said on X. He absolutely wanted to stay in Green Bay. They insulted him by giving him no guarantee, all incentive-based deal that only a fool would sign. It was never about refusing to take a pay cut or thinking he is worth more. Now, this goes back to kind of the Aaron Rodgers take. You guys know there was a lot of conversation on X about this. throughout this whole process was how Aaron was talking about how they mistreat older players on their way out the door. Again, you'd rather get rid of a player 1 year too early rather than 1 year too late. You could say it's cold-hearted, whatever. That's the business of football, man. And that's why I do not hold these players like I don't try to convince anyone or convince myself that a player is a bad person because they hold out for more money, because it goes both ways. A team's going to cut a player with 2 years left on their contract if it makes sense for them to cut him. A player is going to hold out with 2 years left on his contract if it makes sense for him to hold out because he's got leverage. I just kind of try to see both sides of it there. Here's the context and rebuttals. Landis was responding to media narratives, including reports from ESPN's Peter Schrager and others, suggesting Jaire rejected any pay reduction. He argued these claims misrepresented Jaire's position, emphasizing that Jaire was open to a reduced salary if it included some guaranteed money. He refuted the idea that Jaire thought he was worth more than the market, acknowledging Jaire's injury history, but insisting the Packers' offer was disrespectful. This aligns with earlier reports from May 27, 2025, indicating Jaire wanted to stay in Green Bay and was open to a reworked deal that was reported by the Acme Packing Company on May 27th. And then Landis' comments suggest the Packers' proposal was perceived as a lowball offer, undermining Jaire's contributions as a former CB1 and two-time Pro Bowler 2020 and 2022. And I want to say this, the contract you're trying to sign a player to has nothing to do with what you've done in the past. You're trying to project what they're worth in the future, right? So that's where I kind of side with the team in that regard. Don't make a hill of beans that you were a two-time. I'm so sick of hearing two-time All-Pro or whatever it is, two-time Pro Bowler. Boys, we're talking about that was what, 5 years ago when his first Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he was a two-time Pro Bowler. Was he a Pro Bowler at any point when Jordan Love was our quarterback? You know what I mean?
No.
Right. Exactly. Injury management and trust issues. Landis alleged the Packers mishandled Jaire's 2024 injuries, a shoulder issue and a hamstring strain that limited him to 7 games, further eroding trust during negotiations. His specific claims include, now I don't know if it gets into the PCO here, but I was going to try to find it because it's just talking about the shoulder injury and everything there. He confirmed, and I put a tweet out about this. I say confirmed, but his side of the story, Landis' side of the story was that Jaire told them something's not right with the knee. Something's not right. And they waited 4 more weeks before they did a test or they did a scope, and that's where they found out the PCL injury. So that sounded a lot like the David Bakhtiari situation to me. It was like, hey, you're fine. We'll get you back out there in a couple of weeks type thing. So that's just weird. It's a weird way to approach that because with Bach, it was the old training staff, and with Jaire, it was the new training staff, right? So I don't know if you guys got any thoughts on that. Jacob, I'll let you go first this time, man. Is there anything you want to add to that in terms of how we're handling injuries? I know we covered a lot there in the last few minutes.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because Ryan brought it up on his podcast, I believe, this morning, that it was a weird situation because, like you said, okay, well, the common denominator here over the last few years is, like somebody said in the comment, well, they treat people bad as they get older. Well, yeah, you're not going to have as much time, effort, money, and dedication to a player who's literally aging out of the position, the role that they play in a team. So to me, that just makes logical sense. Like, I feel like the people get a little too invested in emotions and loyalty and all that kind of stuff in a game that there's no loyalty. There's no, guarantees in NFL football. And I think that it is interesting from a medical standpoint, like Holmes is referencing here, that Ryan brought up on his pod that they had the same issues with the previous training staff. Remember, everybody wanted, because they were like, what's going on? We can't stay healthy. We can't stop having hamstring issues. People are tearing their pecs. They're doing all this kind of stuff. Everybody said, okay, maybe they're the issue then. So Goody, they fired the whole staff. Remember that? They fired the whole training staff. They bring in another staff. Immediately, it's the same type stuff. So I think they realized, okay, what's the common denominator here? It's that Ja maybe isn't wanting to play at certain times when possibly guys that are quote unquote experts medically are saying, dude, he's good to go. Like, medically, if he wants to push his body, he should be good to go. And then I think you probably do run into that parallel universe of having a guy like Aaron Rodgers says something. It's hard for other guys that get put into similar situations to just be like, oh yeah, I got the same treatment Rodgers did. Where it's like, you're not in the same boat. You're not in the same conversation. Some random Joe Schmo that, made the 53, but wasn't quite, treated right in their eyes. I feel like that could be a little bit of a bleeding into certain issues where do you know what I'm trying to say? Like Rodgers had the ball rolling, and so everybody felt like, hey, I'm going to jump on that train. We can blame the brass. We can blame the front office because clearly it's not our fault. But I feel like that those situations like Bakhtiari, Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Devontae, those were situations where those guys were great players for us, and we had to decide to make decisions. Whereas like a lot of these players that are bringing this up now, I don't know. I feel like they're trying to kind of make themselves to maybe throw the Packers under the bus to make themselves look a little better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Holmes MD1. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I think with Ja, it's more probably the medical side than the age. I mean, he's 28, right? He's not getting any younger, but he's definitely not over, over and above that dirty 30 age that we all know exists in the NFL. I don't care what team you play for.
Right.
And honestly, it's kind of funny, Clay. You brought up the parallel or the comparison to how Bakhtiari's knee injury was handled. They had Big Dave go, I believe, week 1 in Chicago. That was the last game he played for us. We all remember the one-fingered salute to the Bears fans at Soldier Field. That was awesome. I believe Ja re-aggravated that knee in a game at Soldier Field against Chicago as well. So it's kind of an interesting coincidence maybe, but it certainly does look like at least at some point during last season, Ja did make an effort to go, and it might have caused, some more damage to that knee for all we know.
Yeah, for sure. Holmes MD1 says, from a medical standpoint, I agree with Clay. There may have been a strategic fumble in regards to diagnostics. He's also said direct visualization by arthroscopy. Is that how you say that?
Arthroscopy. Yeah, arthroscopic.
I always hear arthroscopic, so I've never heard it as
arthroscopy. You got to talk like a doctor.
That's right. Well, good luck trying to get me to do that, Mike. Is a gold standard for world-class athletes. Ja's dad said they found a bunch of junk when they finally did the scope. No bueno. So,
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Neither, Coach. You need it. Holmes went on to say the initial diagnostic study of choice is MRI, possibly with a word I can't pronounce, for minuscule issues, not menstrual, but minuscule issues. I would think these enormously wealthy teams would prefer diagnostic. So here's the thing, man. Like, you can't help. I don't want to say what I'm about to say. Damn it. I hate talking about stuff like this. They've got the money, they've got the funds, they got the resources. It almost makes you think sometimes they just go, let's don't go that far. Let's just get them back on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like they're worried they'll find something in there and then it will shut it down. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know.
I don't think that's crazy to think,
That's the same reason I don't go to the doctor because they're going to be like, you got the cancer. I'll be like, I shouldn't have looked. I shouldn't have looked for it.
Oh, dude, my favorite thing is like, man, I tell you, I don't want to go into too much detail here because it'd get political, but last visit I had to the doctor, having some heart problems, blood flow problems, stuff like that, blood pressure, things like that. It's literally come in here, waste 3 hours, spend $600 and go, let's keep an eye on it. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. Awesome. All right. Well, great. We got nothing done today, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Sounds good. So WebMD, baby. I'm scared of WebMD. I'll put in WebMD and end up in the psych ward or something, man. It'll convince me I've got everything under the sun. So anything else on the Ja conversation? Emilio, anything else? You got quiet up there, man.
I don't know, man. You're not saying it's Varsity Blues, right? But yeah.
I'm gonna tear your arms off and beat you to death with them.
But no, I mean it's tough for Ja, right? Go get your money, do your thing. But even looking at the Ravens roster, here's their cornerbacks: Jalen Davis, Chidobe Awuzie, Marlon Humphrey, Bahal Cohn, Robert Longerbeam, Ruben Lowry, Keon Martin, Marquise Robinson, TJ Tampa, and Nate Wiggins.
Who?
I'm just saying that's. What if he doesn't even get a spot? They drafted Nate Wiggins last year. You know what I mean? Like whatever, man. You gave it a shot. You tried to get your money. What if
Lamar's not going to let him cut Jaire? Stop it.
TJ Tampa.
Ja's going to become a wide receiver. He's going to be going both ways at Ravens camp now.
We're going to let Mountain Man Pack send us home here as we move on to the next topic. He says, quote, "We're all going to die." That's it. End of quote. So
it's beautiful.
I think there's some truth to that. Let's move it along here. So not me, I'm going to live forever. So there was some offensive line talk and contract negotiation talk that hit today. Now, I want to hit this first, and for a specific reason. I don't know if this is the original Ricky that used to do this stuff. This guy's got over 30,000 followers. But you remember last year, Ricky, I don't know if it was Slick Rick Scoops. I thought it was called something else.
Dude was just calling shots left and right.
Bro, he was nailing it, right? So he puts this tweet out earlier today. It says the Packers are working on an extension for left tackle Rasheed Walker that they hope to have done before training camp, right? So you see this and you go, whoa, that's kind of out of left field because we had talked about Zach Tom, top priority, this and that, right? So I just want to put out this information came from this specific tweet. People asked him in the comments, I think you're talking about Zach Tom. A couple people, I think you're talking about Quay Walker, right? Like, because there was a bunch of multiple sources that came out today that they are in contract talks with Quay Walker and Zach Tom. So if you've heard about Rasheed Walker potentially getting a contract extension, it could be true. It could be false. And Slick Rick Scoops here, Slick Ricky, might have gotten it wrong and gotten mixed up that it was Quay Walker. I don't know. He didn't respond to any of the questions in the comments, of course. That's convenient, right? Like just one question. Hey, no, I know for sure it's Rasheed Walker. That would have helped. But just wanted to put that out there. This, to the best of my knowledge, this is the only source that we have for Rasheed Walker being in contract talks with the Packers in terms of, I mean, them saying hoping to have it done before training camp. I'm sure they've offered something, right? But this sounds like they were trying to get something done. So again, don't know if this is true or not, but that's where it originated at. So as Deadfish said, Quay is not a left tackle. Completely agree, Deadfish. Quay is not a left tackle. I was just trying to make sense of it because they
do have the same last name.
They do have the same last name. So now let's get into the other contract stuff that broke today, and want to get your all's take on it. What I did was I had AI search through the interwebs. Let's hit this real quick. Austin Hardy with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Did you watch the Goot interview on Cheesehead TV yesterday? We did. I know I did, Austin. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't like those type of interviews because they're softball questions and never get a damn thing answered we didn't know. That's why people tell me all the time, do interviews, man. Get so-and-so, get so-and-so. We had Christian Watson's mom on the podcast. We had obviously the interview there with Tony Mandarich. That's fun because you're kind of hearing someone's story. But when you do an interview with a GM, did you guys learn anything that we didn't know? That's what I want to know. Did anybody learn anything we didn't know?
No.
That's why I don't typically tune into that stuff because it's like I know it's just going to be random giggling, and then nobody gets anything accomplished. That's the stuff that kind of drives me crazy. So if you guys know something that they said in there that was or maybe – hey, this really jumped off the page. Let me know. Chat, awesome. Appreciate you.
Too old for this.
What did he say?
Just read it. You don't have to put it on the screen.
I want to pat you on the butt and you poop my hand. So
yeah, I'm not going to bash anybody publicly. Yeah, but that is pretty funny. I remember Weird Al Yankovic. He was a big part of my childhood, actually. So Green Bay confirms they're in contract negotiations with Zach Tom and Quay Walker. Now, there's been multiple sources. Packer Wire hit on this. There was like 3 or 4 different people that came out and talked about they're in contract negotiations with Zach Tom and Quay Walker. Now, listen, we knew they were going to try to get some kind of deal done with Quay as soon as they declined the 5th-year option. What did Goody say? Yeah, he's in our future plans. But, just obviously they don't want to – he didn't say this, but they didn't want to pay the 5th-year option price. We knew they were going to try to extend Zach Tom as well. But here is what we've got here. According to multiple sources, the Packers in the contract negotiations with Zach Tom and Quay Walker. Let's dive into what we know. So what I did was said a interweb, AI, find every bit of information you can on this and compile it in a bullet form kind of article, and let's see what we come up with. Okay, so – Zach Tom talks about his draft pick. In 2024, Tom emerged as one of the NFL's top right tackles. We know all that, blah, 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 blah. The article notes Tom's consistent participation in the 2025 offseason workout program, signaling his commitment despite ongoing contract talks. I know we've talked about that. Gutekunst's comments here lately said, Gutekunst stated, quote, we've had really healthy conversations with Zach Tom about locking him up, and certainly That's something we'd like to do. This indicates active and positive negotiations. He acknowledged the time-consuming nature of extensions, saying, quote, these things take time and they never happen very quickly. This suggests a deliberate approach to reaching a deal. Gutekunst praised Tom's character and performance. Quote, he's been a really good player for us since the time he got here, done everything right by us. So hopefully we'll get there soon. This reflects confidence in Tom's long-term fit with the team. So strategic implications. Extended Tom is a priority due to his elite performance as a rising market for top offensive tackles. Panay Sewell's 2024 deal with the Lions was 4 years, $112 million with $28 million average annual value. A new contract would would average 15 to 20 million annually, locking in a key protector for Jordan Love. If we get 15 to 20 annual, oh boy, what a deal that would be, right? The Packers' $49 million in 2025 cap space per over the cap, cited in related sources, provided flexibility to secure Tom before his value escalates further in free agents. We know the longer they wait, the more that's going to cost. Tom's extension aligns with the team's focus on building around a young, cost-controlled core, especially after freeing up $17.4 million by releasing Jaire Alexander. Seems like that money that was saved by Ja, good chunk of it's going to go straight into paying Zach Tom. And obviously, Goody here of lately has been very vocal about, hey, we want to lock him up long term. So now we've gotten kind of confirmation, guys. I'll start with you this time, Tim. Tom, sounds like they're in deep conversations with Zach Tom. I think this is going to get done before training camp starts, especially with Tom showing up to training camp the way he did.
I hope it's done before the end of the week. Hopefully by tomorrow we get an answer, right? No, but in all seriousness, you're right. I think we've been waiting for this for a while, and you don't want to stretch this out too long. I mean, we're going into camp next month. So, yeah, I would think in the next, week or two tops, they would probably have something solidified to keep him here for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Jake, got anything, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those situations where don't wait. We saw that situation with Love where you drag it on and all of a sudden the tag keeps rising and rising and rising. We know what Zach Tom is. We've basically known what he was since the day we got him in, and all of a sudden turned some heads. Fourth round guys like this don't come around too often. When they do, throw the freaking bag at him. Do it in a way where, like you said, maybe sooner than later, get as much, any bit of rising up that price or raising the price or doing any sort of drama. I don't want any holding out. I want any kind of nothing. I just want this to be done, inked away. We don't have to worry about it for a few years at least. I think just do it, give the guy what he's worth, and then let's move on fixing the rest of the 4 spots in that offensive line, making sure we have the best 5.
Absolutely. Let's get it done before training camp. So you can just walk in, suit up, put the helmet on, and let's play. I mean, there's just no point. There's no point in waiting and drawing it out. And Clay, let me just, I shouldn't ask you a question I don't know the answer to, but
oh no.
If would it be feasible if we needed to tag him or anything? Would that be a route that they would maybe want to go, or that tag's going to be $25 million anyway?
The tag's going to be high. Someone could probably help us out in the chat. I bet Drew D could do it. Drew, what would be the franchise tag price for Zach Tom, or anyone who wants to look that up for us?
Just wondering if that's an option. I don't want it to come to that point, right? But if they really can't get it done by training camp, put them on a tag, get it done by next year. I feel like that's something we can get taken care of, but break glass in case of an emergency kind of thing.
Yeah, for me, I think they want to stay away from it. Now, if they do that, in the past, what they've been able to do is franchise tag and then finish the extension and then have that franchise tag be a part of the guaranteed money. And
Gotcha.
Then you can actually move that franchise tag. You can move the 5th-year option around too, as we learned with Darnell Savage. Drew D says around $21.2 million. That's not a horrible number. So,
that's not terrible.
Yeah, if you can't get the deal done, they'll probably franchise tag him.
Yeah, that's not a bad – I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, if we get him for 20, I'm going to be happy. But that's not terrible if we still need to work something out.
Yeah, and Holmes has got a cross-check on there with Gemini Pro. It says 25.1, so somewhere between 21 and 25, because it does go up. It'll go up.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you, Drew, and thank you, Holmes, for looking it up. Appreciate that. So I don't know. How would you guys feel about that? Let's just hammer it out here. Listen, you've got to choose either franchise tag him or let him walk in free agency. What would you rather do, Jacob?
Franchise tag.
Okay, no way we let him go, right?
No, yeah. Jacob's running around with that little yellow sticker gun. Just I'm tagging that man.
Like he does at the club. I'm gonna put it. I'm
absolutely.
gonna tag the ear of this one. I'm gonna tag the ear of that one. And keep it moving. Right?
Sometimes you got to mark them. You got to be able to tell them apart.
That's right.
Yeah, like from the office, you got to just put a marker on him.
I marked her arm. What?
Oh wow, we're getting a little back and forth in the chat there.
I know. I see some people are saying walk. AFAM, of course, he's going to say walk. AFAM, don't make us get your mom in here, sir. Okay, your mother in here to
You're
straighten
late
you
for
out
your Chiefs
right
podcast.
Don't make us call on her. All right, AFAM.
Oh man,
Whoever's running that account, I need you in here ASAP. Okay,
Yeah.
It makes my knot every time, man. All right. Anything else on Zach Tom before we move on to Quay Walker extension talks?
I will handcuff him to the railing at 1265 if we have to. We are not letting that man out of Green Bay.
Jacob said you can borrow his handcuffs still.
Well,
I don't know if I want those. They might not have been sterilized.
They're quite fuzzy too, in pink.
Oh, God. With that being said, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, I'm sure we will not see you for hour two, but you're welcome to join us. See you on the other side.
For those of you listening on the pod,
I can't believe you made it over, but welcome in hour two.
dude.
All right, Quay Walker. Another part of the Packers Wire. I believe Zach Cruz reported on this too, if I remember correctly. Maybe he works for Packers Wire, but it was that Quay Walker extension talks were Mrs. Green with the zinger tonight. Oval Office merch. We need to put some Oval Office merch in our what's the name of that? We got a merchandise store. I haven't checked it in a while. We might be millionaires.
don't put that name in my mouth right
There's
now.
like 40 orders waiting to get processed.
No, it automatically fills it. If someone ordered something, they get it shipped. I'm just saying I might go in there and the balance be I don't know what it might be. They may say, hey, we shut you down because you owed us money.
Yeah, right.
That could happen. So anyway, a part of the other contract news that was breaking, Quay Walker extension talks. And again, same format, not going to read an article word for word or multiple articles. We just had it compile the information. Here's what we got: context and performance. Quay Walker, the 2022 first-round pick, number 22 overall, is also entering the final year of his rookie contract in 2025 with no fifth-year option exercise, making him a free agent in 2026. Walker has been a starter since his rookie year, playing 43 games over 3 seasons and recording at least 100 tackles annually. However, the article notes consistency issues as Walker has not fully met expectations for a first-round linebacker. I think all that's pretty accurate reporting there. Despite declining his fifth-year option, the Packers view Walker as a, quote, core player in defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley's scheme, valued for his athleticism, size, and versatility. So fifth-year option decision, right? The Packers declined Walker's fifth-year option, which would have guaranteed $14.7 million. Gutekunst explained that the options cost was inflated because the NFL groups off-ball linebackers like Walker with 3-4 outside linebackers who command higher salaries and option calculations. I feel like we reported on that pretty extensively when the process was taking place. Goody stated, the only reason we didn't do the fifth-year options is a lot of the outside linebackers are calculated into that number, so it didn't make a lot of sense, end of quote. This decision reflects a strategic choice to pursue a cheaper multi-year extension rather than commit to a higher guarantee figure for 2026. Now, Goody's latest comments said he expressed high expectations for Walker's, quote, my expectations are really, really high. He, suggested he's got confidence in Walker's potential to improve in his fourth year, and I think specifically in Jeff Hafley's defense being in year 2. He confirmed ongoing extension talks. Quote, we're going down that road with him as well to see if we can make that happen as well. This indicates the Packers are prioritizing a long-term deal to retain Walker at a lower cost than the fifth-year option. The article also emphasized Walker's fit alongside 2024 second-round pick Edgerrin Cooper, an all-rookie selection, noting their combined athleticism, pass rush ability, and coverage skills. I'm glad that it mentioned that because they really do mirror each other. You know what I mean? Like Emilio, it's almost like they're cut from the same exact cloth. They've got the same skill sets. It's just right. Edgerrin Cooper seems to process a lot faster than McQuay at this point.
Doubled our speed on the inside. And again, they only played one game last year together. That was the Eagles playoff game. The only game they started together.
Yeah. That's crazy.
All right. So that's pretty much what it came down to. Now it says defensive outlook with Walker and Cooper, Hafley's defense. There's great potential of Walker and Cooper as a tandem in Hafley's defense, which emphasizes speed and versatility. Goody said, quote, really having those two guys on the field at the same time, the athleticism, the size that brings the ability to rush the passer, the ability to cover. I think those two guys are going to work well off each other as we move forward. It sounds like everything Goody's saying, he has Quay in the future plans, right? And you guys know how I feel about Quay Walker. I think he's an athletic freak. To me, the negative aspect of his game is he doesn't process quick enough. Like if he gets that down, which is crazy because a rookie in Edgerrin Cooper came in and just bang right off the bat, that dude is wasting no time. But it is worth mentioning, he got criticized, Cooper did, by both Hafley and Matt LaFleur for being in the wrong places, even though he made the play. So it's like, maybe Quay is doing exactly what they're telling him to do, and Cooper's just like going straight Willie beaming out there. Flush it, Coach D'Amato. I'm just gonna go out here and make this play type thing, right? So, and the fact that obviously Coop put on 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason is just crazy.
Yeah.
Shake it. Sound like you. I ain't heard you that excited since they had the breakfast buffet over at the office, bro.
Well, I mean, the only thing that can excite me more than Edgerrin Cooper of last year is Edgerrin Cooper plus 20 pounds of human meat muscle. You know,
heard it from a fan right here.
Muscle. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
The Packers confirm have roughly, $49 million in 2025 cap space, 13th in the NFL, bolstered by Jaire's release. We talked about that. Goody focused on Tom and Walker. Reflects a strategy of looking in young talent before free agency, a priority after losing players like Aaron Jones and Alexander in recent years. So it's got a little offseason timeline there as well, talking about the negotiations. Zach Tom, a no-brainer, obviously, PFF pass blocking grade of 87.2 in 2024, make him a top 10 right tackle, essentially for protecting Jordan Love in a pass-heavy offense. His extension is a, quote, top priority, as noted in the recent analysis, due to his rising market value and the scarcity of elite tackles. I will tell you one thing that I'm really noticing, gang, is with so many teams playing their best pass rusher off the left edge from the defense's perspective, right tackles are becoming just as valuable as left tackles now for right-handed quarterbacks. So it's funny how the league kind of evolves. You know, for the longest time, your best pass rusher on the blind side, therefore your best pass blocker needs to be on the blind side. And now they're putting their best pass rusher on the weaker tackle, and now teams are starting to pour that money into right tackle a little bit more than they have in the past. I love the way the league is just constantly changing. Slow negotiations, these things take time, suggest potential hurdles such as disagreements over guarantees or contract length. Tom's camp may push for a deal rivaling top tackles. Tristan Wirfs, $25 million average annual value, while the Packers aim for a cost-effective figure closer to 15 to 18. If we get him for 15 to 18, boys, I'm telling you, I'm going to dance around the trailer park. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be absolutely awesome. Securing Tom ensures stability at right tackle, complementing left tackle Rasheed Walker, and new center Elton Jenkins. We haven't even mentioned that. The versatility with Zach Tom, too. I don't see how they get him for less than 20 million, guys.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I hope it happens, but I don't know. Walker, calculated risk. We kind of talked about everything up to this point. A cost-effective deal for Walker would be 4 years, $40 million, $20 million guaranteed. So that would essentially be a 3-year deal for $20 million is what it would come down to. A 4-year deal, that's really just a 3-year deal. If you go with a 3-year deal at $10 million per, you're probably looking at closer to 16, 17, maybe $18 million in guarantee. And you would obviously a 3-year deal would be a 2-year deal. Would maintain defensive continuity while allowing the Packers to allocate cap space elsewhere, such as to a veteran cornerback post Alexander. So let's go around the horn with it. Any thoughts triggered in your guys' mind? Anything at all?
I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, let's pay Tom. Let's if we can get Quay on a deal. I just don't.
Would you do it for 10, Emilio? 10 million per
For
Quay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The cap's going up by what, 30 next year or something like that? What's a couple million here and there, like on the side for a linebacker? I mean, because Coop's going to get paid. If he keeps playing like that, we're going to have to pay him no matter what. But if you can get Quay on a deal and then Quay still keeps, improving, getting better, then you got him on a deal in 3 years. It looks like, you got a bargain for him.
Do you think you could try to, because like Emilio said earlier, I more want to see what's possible with Quay and Coop, and then insert whoever a third linebacker is consistently, whether it's Quay or Cooper when we're in that kind of nickel. I don't know, man. Would you be willing? Like, if they give him a 3-year, $30 million with 15 guaranteed, I'd be okay with that. Like,
what was that number again, Jacob?
A 3-year, $30 million, 15 guaranteed. Like, I'd be cool with that. I'd be completely cool with that. And I think that would be a
loaded with incentives.
Loaded with incentives. I feel like if that would be a good enough contract where that's not offensive to Quay. I think that's definitely incentive based where he could make some money, but it's also doesn't break the bank and give us maybe a 2-year out kind of thing. Where if we see that him and for whatever reason him and Coop, they're just not meshing together well. Quay looks like he's a little sloppy. Cut bait after that first year. You know what I mean? But I think that would be in the ballpark where I'd be happy.
Yeah, because essentially what it turns into when people hear that, they go, "Man, 10 million per, is he really worth 10 million per?" You're not going to end up paying him 10 million per.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, and if it does work out, you're going to be going, "Heck yeah, 10 million per is well worth it." Because again, as you mentioned, Emilio, that cap going up, stack backer money is going to go up too, right? So get ahead of it a little bit, right?
And what's the difference between 10 and 8? Like, if you had to get it under double digits, like what is it going to matter in 3 years that you didn't get him on $6 million?
Jacob, tell her to go back to sleep.
Get ready to go.
Emilio was over here breaking it down.
What? Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
You've been giving that dog cheese. What's he mad
must be
about?
the floodlight Jacob's got coming in from his window right there.
Somebody's running a buzzsaw outside that's making a high pitched whir, and he wants to
He's
sing
letting
along.
them know, bro. We're trying to do a podcast in here. Jeez.
Lucas said Quay's going to take 10 milli. He agrees.
That's right.
There you go. Sign him up. All right. Holmes said, "What the hell's going on over there?"
Right. Don't forget to like while you're at it. While you're listening to those sounds, hit that like button.
Jacob, thank you for muting there. Let us know when it's over. This is a good time to say, hey, guys, if you want to support what we do here at Packers Total Access, go to our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything on the site. It's just, like I said, a way for us to provide extra content, and you guys support what we do here. We're going to be doing a giveaway this Saturday, all right? For anyone who's in the $3 tier, which is the cheapest tier we got there, everybody's name is going to be entered into the giveaway. We're going to spin the wheel of names and give away an autographed Luke Musgrave rookie card. All right. So we got that one, nice little shiny one. No, Emilio, stop looking at it. You're not entered into the contest. All right. So if you want to join the Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Something we're going to do on there too is I went through and compiled a bunch of information within the AI database and put in a bunch of Curly Lambeau stuff from his books that were wrote on, like The Man Behind the Mystique, this and that. And we're going to have like these little articles put together where we ask Curly Lambeau, hey, what was it like coaching Johnny Blood, right? And it's Curly Lambeau based off of the database that has all the information about his life and everything. And he's going to write an article. He is going to write an article describing what it was like coaching John McNally. That article is already up at Patreon. We're doing the same thing. Don Hudson's is already up. So it's a cool little creative way to tap into Packers history. And maybe how would Curly Lambeau have talked about those guys if he was still alive today? So I thought that'd be kind of cool. That's just some other creative stuff that we're doing in there.
So what, Buckets is on a break, or where did he hit the island, or
Buckets Goldenberg re-enlisted.
Which island you talking about, Emilio? I didn't think that list had dropped yet. What are you talking about?
Oh, jeez.
Unbelievable.
How dare you?
Now Buckets, I think Buckets got promoted. He's no longer with us.
Oh, okay. All
with
right.
a better gig. So, yeah. I think as soon as AFM's mom showed up, Buckets left. That's what happened. Okay. So he got out of town. Jordan Love. Let's talk a little Jordan Love. That sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Is he good now, Jacob? We good over there, bro?
He's chilling.
All right, there you go. You heard it from a fan right
You
here.
heard it
Must have
from a
been a
fan right
D-Wall.
here.
That was probably the problem, Jacob. It didn't have Milwaukee,
Probably, yeah.
Coming wrong. Yeah, I got you.
All right, so I seen this image drop across Twitter earlier today. Charles McDonald's top 10 quarterbacks entering the 2025 NFL preseason. I want to get your all's take on it because Jordan Love lands in the top 10 on this cat's list here. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Number 3, the reigning MVP, Josh Allen. Number 4, Joe Burrow. Number 5, Justin Herbert. Number 6, Matthew Stafford. Number 7, Dak Prescott. Number 8, Geno Smith. That one really caught me off guard. But number 9, Jordan Love. And then rounding out the top 10 is C.J. Stroud. We put a poll question up. You guys make sure you go vote here on YouTube. Where would you rank Jordan Love amongst all other NFL quarterbacks? The choices are top 5, top 10, top 15, or top 20. Right now on YouTube with 69 votes. I know Jacob gets excited about that. Top 10 is leading the way at 71%. So 71% of our YouTube viewers believe Jordan Love is officially a top 10 quarterback in the league. In second, tied at second place is top 5 and top 15 at 12%. And then top 20 is coming in at 6%. We also did the same poll on Twitter, which will have a lot more votes. We'll get into that here in a second. I want to go around the horn with it, though. Jacob, we'll start with you. Where would you rank Jordan Love amongst NFL quarterbacks? And listen, this isn't like we're going to hold your feet to the fire and make you accountable for this all year.
Right.
Be asking, or Emilio said, right. Just right off the bat, somebody says, where would you rank Jordan Love? Where would you put him, Jake?
I would say honestly that's probably a pretty good ranking. Number 9. I think he's top 10. Definitely probably in that I'd say 8, 9, or 10 range. I don't think that number 9 is a bad ranking whatsoever. I think that if he's on his game, firing at all cylinders, he's a top 5 quarterback. But just in general, I think that it's fair to say that he's number 9. Sounds about right to me, to be honest.
Got it. All right.
I'm going to disagree a little bit.
Oh, Tim, what do you got, man?
First of all, Dak Prescott and Geno Smith 7 and 8 on this list is
with no Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, dude, that's laughable. It's laughable. I would move Stafford to 5th. I would move J Love to 6th, and I'd put Herbert after J Love, and then bump Prescott and Geno down there. Maybe even arguably even move. You could even put Dak at 10 and put Geno at 9.
I think Herbert deserves to be further down.
Or Herbert, hell, even C.J. Stroud, but. I think it's fair that he's in the top 10, which is awesome. But me, I'm a J Money fan. I believe he's teetering around that, that entering that top 5 range when he's 100%, obviously, which we'll get to see this season. So we might be having a totally different conversation after the 2025 season when we do the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. But I think this is, to Jacob's point, I think it's fair. I mean, I'm going to be a homer and I'm going to want Jordan a little higher, but. I don't see a world where he's not a better quarterback or as good as a Dak Prescott or a Geno Smith, honestly.
I mean, that's where it's weird to me that there's no Brock.
Where's Jalen Hurts?
Even Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield to me deserves, Jaden Daniels deserves to be there.
Everybody can't be in the top 10.
Right. But, I mean, if you remove some of these guys that.
So let's do it. What quarterbacks would you add to the top 10? Let's list those off real quick.
I think Baker Mayfield has to be in there.
All right, there's one.
Well, Jalen Hurts just, won a Super Bowl.
There's 2.
Put Jalen Hurts. We're talking about entering the season. Yeah.
Jared Goff. I mean, honestly, Jared Goff.
Okay,
you watch your language, young man.
If he said it, we're putting it on the list. Right, everybody chime in. Anybody else?
Jaden Daniels already.
We didn't say Jaden Daniels yet.
So Jared Goff had almost 5,000 yards passing last year, almost 40 interceptions and 40 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Right. Let's get
quarterback rate of 108.
Right there.
Yeah, let's get Caleb on the list too for sure.
Get out of there.
AFAM says Tony Romo. All right, so we got 5 now, or no, 4 now. Anybody else? Nobody said Brock Purdy yet. Y'all think Brock Purdy's a top 10 quarterback?
He got paid like one.
Yeah,
sure did.
Yeah.
Put him on the ticker.
All right, so that's 5. Now, let me ask you, with this list, take 5 of these quarterbacks off and replace them with the guys we just listed.
Geno, Dak,
CJ.
Stroud.
maybe
Oh,
CJ
Herbert.
Stroud. Yeah.
CJ and Herbert. So Herbert's not top 10?
No.
Wow. Okay. So that's 4. Give me one more. It's tough, right?
You know?
And really, the reality is there's probably 2 or 3 in the top tier, and then you got about 10 that are probably in the same tier, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why when you do top 10, it gets tough. And I know people are roasting this guy over the list. They're probably roasting him in the chat as well. It's a tough thing to do. You know, it's a tough thing to just go, all right, these are the top 10, because after you get past, to me right now, I would have to say it's Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow are towards the top. Now, I'm not saying all 4 need to be in the top tier, but those are the 4 that kind of separate themselves. Then you got about 10 quarterbacks.
All in the AFC too.
Right. Now, with Jordan Love, if we remove the second half of the 2023 season, if we remove that, I believe we will be saying Jordan Love is outside of the top 20. But when you add in that second half of the 2023 season, it's like, yeah, you can make a case he's top 10. You know, so with that being said, along with the injuries should never be an excuse, but it's the reality of what happened last year. I think I would probably put Jordan somewhere around, somewhere between 9 and 13, something like that is what I could see. And again, he's probably in that second to third tier. He'd be at the very top of the third tier or towards the bottom or maybe mid of the second tier. Now, if he goes out this year and does what I think he can do, we're going to be talking about him being a top 5 quarterback. I believe that. I think he's going to be even better than he was in his best point last year, because again, it's not like he had a horrible year last year. He had some timely interceptions, don't get me wrong, but he also had a receiving core, had a lot of drops. We've talked about that. Matt LaFleur said they made mental errors as well. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun year. Now let's go to the poll question here and see what everyone said on Twitter. We already talked about the YouTube poll. Appreciate everybody voting there. And on X, over on Twitter, it is top 10. Guys, we've got 149 votes over there right now. 56.4% of the voters say top 26% say top 15. 14% say top 5. And then only 2% say top 20. So it seems like
that was AFAM and that 2.7% there. Top
in all his burner accounts, right?
Yeah, all his burner. Yep.
So again, man, that kind of surprised me because X is usually kind of, I don't know, it feels like there's more people who will they'll look at Packer fan in my name and go, well, I'm voting the worst one. You know what I mean? You get a lot of those that trickle in.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that top 10 kind of ran away with it, man, it gives me a lot of hope. It really does. Yep. And again, if you just couple the top 10 and top 15, like just saying, hey, look, he is a top 15 slam dunk, then you're looking at what, 82%, not 83% of the vote say he's at least top 15. So
would he be top 5 on just NFC quarterbacks?
Ooh, that's a great question, man. Let's go. I already closed that one list out. I'm trying to think who do you think are the top quarterbacks?
Dak, Jalen Hurts, Love, Stafford.
You got to put
Matt
Baker
Stafford,
on there.
Brock Purdy,
Baker.
Jacob
Baker, I hardly knew him.
Yeah, Jacob. We got Baker, bub. We got him on the list.
Y'all just listed 7, so we're already
43 touchdowns last year. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's even tough getting him top 5 in just NFC quarterbacks.
I like Baker just for what he did in college, to be honest with you. Like when the Kansas captains refused to shake his hand and he let them have it and then made his little gesture on the sideline. And then, of course, he planted the flag. Where did he plant the flag? Was that Ohio State that he planted the flag? Right in the middle of the field? I'm trying to think of where he did that at.
So,
but anyway, he's just one of those dudes. Drew D's coming in hot here, Jacob.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. He's not a top quarterback, LOL. He literally was a top quarterback in yards and touchdowns and interceptions.
Oh, what a rebuttal. He literally.
We're going to give him some.
Y'all cracking me up, man. Oh, man. Baker's one of those dudes that I thought he was a real deal when he was in Cleveland. And then all of a sudden he bounced around the league, and I was like, I guess he ain't, man. There ain't no teams that want to give him a chance. And I'm with Jacob on how he played last year, man. He was, man.
Baker's a dog, man.
He is, man. He is. He's definitely one of those dudes that his teammates want to play for him. You hear you won't hear any teammate that's not named Odell Beckham Jr. say anything negative about Baker Mayfield. And OBJ was the beginning of the slide there for sure.
Yeah,
So
4,700 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. Come on, guys.
Come
Top
on,
tier.
this isn't Detroit, man. This is a Super Bowl. I bet you've heard that 1,000 times up there on the Minnesota border, ain't you, Jake?
Oh, I hate that guy so much, Paul Allen.
Everybody does. Join the club.
Adrian Peterson rushes ahead for a loss of 1.
Which, by the way, Adrian Peterson's in the news. You guys see that?
Did you? I was just going to ask. Did you see him getting in a fight?
I thought it was Tim at the craps table there. At first, I was like, Tim, put
Oh man, you know I'm a poker player, man. I don't shoot dice. Come on now.
the fists away. What's he doing? Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. It's all over X.
Well,
I mean, Adrian
Peterson can't
Peterson.
beat on nobody no more.
Hey, that. Jeez, okay, let's edit that out. Golly.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
See, Coach Lynn says AP almost got knocked out. My man was sticking and moving, dude. He had a couple jabs, a couple cross, like he was looking good, right? The AP's opponent, who was obviously unnamed. But I did notice with AP, he just kept coming, boy. He just kept pushing forward. Finally, that dude ran out of room to run, and he was pinned against the wall. It was like, somebody better break this up. AP gonna twist his head off his shoulders. Because that dude,
remember the way he ran with the football? I mean, it was like a gallop that he just like with the whole head and everything.
Yeah, I love that the chat is dropping, like Coach Lynn dropping in, and then Brambo says AD got pieced up. He said he's carrying his left a little low. That could have hurt him in the later round. You know what I mean? Just kind of the whole thing here. I love it. 2-0 for this says, please don't make me think of Paul Allen Jacob. He's the worst part of living in Minnesota, other than the rampant drug use, of course. Wow, that escalated quickly. Glad this is a family show. Yeah, I'm with you, Holmes. That's kind of how I seen it too. Dude ran. Dude got the heck out of there. He just kept moving back. Like, stand your ground, man. Hit him with a 2-piece and throw the fries in the bag, call it a night. You know what I mean? Why you got to keep backing up like that? I think he realized after about the third punch he threw on him, he's like, oh, crap, this is Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, bad idea.
I think he immediately went back to AP running over that Pittsburgh Steeler. Was that who he ran over? Remember when he just flattened him? What year was that? I think it was the year after he came back from the ACL, which he might have broke the world record for coming back from ACL the quickest. But anyway, what does this have to do with Jordan Love? Absolutely nothing. Anything else on the Jordan Love ranking there, fellas? Anything at all?
Holmes
I
is
would
going
not
to edit that Edrin Cooper picture and put Adrian Peterson on it now. His horse picture that he's got going around the chat.
That horse picture is just off the chain. All right. Let's move along to a little bit of news here as the training camp schedule was released. I don't know if you guys seen this or not. We went ahead and uploaded it into the Patreon group, so you got quick access to it there. I don't know why I did that, but let's zoom back out. Here we go. Tim, jot these down, sir. I know you already got one printed over at your house, don't you?
You know it, baby.
Get ready to go.
Here's the calendar. If you guys want to freeze frame it, pause it, whatever. This is over on Packers.com. It's all over Twitter as well. Obviously, training camp looks like it's going to open up on the 21st, I believe. But the first open practice is going to be 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, July 23rd. Now, we also listed the important dates, Tim. If you'll notice, too, in the media assets section, we've actually got both of these images in there for quick reference if you guys ever need them and I'm not here. But here are the important dates on the preseason calendar. July 18th, quarterbacks, rookies, and injured players report. So, guys, we are officially less than 1 month from the quarterbacks, rookies, and injured players reporting for training camp. We made it.
We made it.
Now, also on July 18th, the Packers 1K Kids Run, kids 10 years old and younger. That's going to be presented by CareSource at 6 p.m. If you guys got kids in the Green Bay area, obviously that's going to be a fun event.
1,000 miles for the children? That's too far.
They got a carb load. I know that, man. They better got their carb load. Saturday, July 19th, the Packers 5K run / walk. I love that they put that walk in there for people like me. Like, hey, you can walk it if you want to.
You can walk over to a food truck.
walk over to 1919 Kitchen and Tap and go and get you some beer cheese soup and some cheese curds and a nice cold bruschetta and stare out the window overlooking Onada at the people running the 5K. Look at them go. That's what I'd be doing. So that's going to be, it looks like it's presented by Amplify, by Bell and Health. Lambeau Field, 8 a.m. on Saturday, July 19th. Tuesday, July 22nd is when the veteran players report. So again, quarterbacks, rookies, injured players on the 18th, veterans on the 22nd, and then the first practice will be July 23rd at 10:30 a.m. at Ray Nitschke Field, obviously if it's weather permitted. Friday, July 25th is the shareholder meeting. Tim, are you going to go to that?
I go every year. Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
We need some kind of something for it. It's going to be early in the morning though, right? Or is it? No, it's 3 p.m.
Yep.
If I'm not working that day, maybe we can do a live stream and you can just kind of feed us reports, through text message or whatever.
Absolutely.
You can get some good pictures and stuff. That'd be fun to have you boots on the ground over there. So.
Definitely.
Strap a GoPro to Tim and just send him in there.
2 days now. They started that last year. So you got camp. We've got camp practice that day as well. And then the shareholders meeting right after. So it'll be a long day. Mrs.
Green says, Tim, take me to the meeting this year. Tim said, no, this is business only.
I only got one pass. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, absolutely. I will take the missus this year for sure.
Hey,
take her out to lunch or dinner after, Tim. That's a perfect date right there.
There you go.
Krista Casuan says, love Tim as a reporter on the scene. You got to give the Buckets Goldenberg voice while you're out there, Tim. You know
Reporting live from training camp 2025.
You got to wear a fedora and just walk around with an unlit cigar. That's right.
Say it's a baby. See, yeah, it's a baby.
Can't smoke anywhere nowadays.
All right, so the shareholder meeting, 3 p.m. Lambeau Field. That's July 25th. Saturday, August the 2nd is going to be family night. Again, Saturday, August the 2nd. We will be doing a live stream right here, watch party. We can't put it on the screen, but as everybody's watching, we'll be bringing you updates. We'll be following X reports, people showing videos on there. It'll be a lot of fun. It's just going to kind of kick off the entire thing. I can't believe this is right around the corner.
Real quick before we move on to the next date. Also, Saturday, August 2nd, Sterling Sharp enshrined in Canton, Ohio in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So big day for Packer fans all around. Congratulations once again to Sterling Sharp going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do something that night as well. Well, it's going to be family night. We'll be doing the live stream. Probably have the Hall of Fame over here, and we'll give you guys Twitter updates on that as well. It's going to be a fun night, man. How about that?
Yep, big day for football, man.
That's awesome. And then Thursday, August the 21st, is the last practice open to the public. It's going to be a joint practice with the Seattle Seahawks at 10:30 a.m. Ray Nitschke Field. Get ready. There will be fights every year.
Get ready to go.
And hopefully none of them run like that cat that was faced off against Adrian Peterson. So when you look at family night, it's going to be August the 2nd. And the very next week on August the 9th at 7 p.m., we got a home game against the New York Football Jets. And then August 16th, we travel to the Indianapolis Colts. I might try to go to that. I think we got direct flights to Indy.
Nice.
I might do that.
Call up Pat McAfee. Maybe he'll let you borrow the suite or something,
There you go.
Amelia, why don't you and Clayton go to that game, cover it on the 16th? It sounds like me and Tim are going to be going to the 23rd game.
Nice.
To see the Seattle game. So just saying.
I wish I had my Kevin Malone pick. What is Seattle?
We need to do some Tom Brady voodoo on the weather there, Emilio, and get let's say the week of the 3rd through the 9th, we get the worst drought in Tennessee history.
Right.
Just skip over the yards on the weekend and make it 16.
Yep. Yeah. You mow it that week during the drought, and then that next week you're golden. You don't even need to show up.
Here's a little secret too, guys, for those of you who want to get in the mowing business. You plan your vacation this way, right? When you see a drought coming up within 2 weeks, you go, all right, the week before, put that sucker all the way to the ground.
I knew you were going to say, cut it at 1.
Cut it at 1.
They're cutting putting greens on people's.
Yeah, dude. The next day, you'll get the text rolling. I don't think mine needs it this week. It's pretty brown. I bet it is.
Yeah, told the weed eater to burn the edges too. We're good to go, man.
That's it. So there you go. There is your training camp schedule, preseason schedule, all that good stuff. I'm excited, man. This is going to be a fun year. And again, I think we're one step closer to competing for a Super Bowl. I think this is the year that the window officially opens. Last year, I know I caught a lot of hell for it, but I was pretty vocal. And man, I don't know. It's just I think we'll have a good team, 10 to 13 wins. But I never, team can get hot. Don't get me wrong, but I just didn't feel like we had a legit shot to compete for the Super Bowl last year. And I thought we somewhat overachieved personally. And I know people look at it like it was a down year because we didn't get a playoff win last year like we did the year prior. But I don't think anybody was expecting us to go into Dallas, just absolutely beat the brakes off of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. So for me, I feel like the team is a little bit older. I think these guys that obviously were much younger last year. You won one more year in the offensive system, one more year in the defensive system. I think you improved the defensive line coach. Time will tell if that's the case with Coach Covington. I think Edgerrin Cooper is set to have a big year. I think Quay Walker, if he stays healthy, will have a good year. I think he'll have his best year to date. If the contract isn't done, he's going to be playing for his career. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be playing for his next contract. So there's going to be some extra incentive there as well. So, that's going to be, as Drew said here, come on, Love, take that next step like we know you can. If he does too, Drew. And here's the thing, Drew. Do what you did last year and reduce the interceptions by 5. If you can do that and you finish the year 32 touchdowns, 6 or 7 interceptions, something like that, this team probably going to win 2 more games. I mean, that was the common denominator when we went back through those really important games that we lost last year, was just throwing 1 or too many, 1 to 2 too many interceptions in those games. And they ended up being kind of the difference in the game. What I'm really excited about, though, is week 1, obviously against the Detroit Lions. I think we've got some extra. Another thing here at the top, guys, if you guys ever need it and I'm not on here, this is the NFC North 2025 schedule, a little bit blurry, but you can see how it all lays out by week. Pretty cool little graphic there, right? And then also weeks 1 through 6 we now have up here. This is a really cool graphic from Nerding on NFL. This shows you the entire NFL schedule that week. And I love how you guys slotted in, right? So like
week 5 bye. Wow, I forgot.
What's that?
We got a week 5 bye.
Oh yeah.
We drew the short straw this year, I guess.
Yeah. So you can kind of see how everything lays out in the time frame, what channel it's on, all that good stuff. So I think there's a good chance that Sunday, probably already being confirmed, I would imagine, that September 7th matchup against the Detroit Lions on CBS, that would probably be Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. I don't know about you guys. I like them. I love hearing them call a game. I know Tony Romo catches a lot of hell. They say he's out there drunk. He's on the sauce while he's calling the game. I think he does a good job. That's going to be fun. But look at the week of football there in week 1. You're going to have the Cowboys going into Philadelphia. They're going to show their banner and everything, right? Their ring ceremony, all that good stuff will be that week, I would imagine. So we get to see the Eagles potentially beat up on the Cowboys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Home on Thursday night. And then on Friday night, you got Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert. I've noticed that the guys here on the show, I'm going to get y'all's take on this too. I've noticed y'all are way, way lower on Justin Herbert than I am. Now, I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback, but I think he is a top 10 quarterback. I feel like he's in that top 10. Am I wrong in that assessment of how you guys feel about him? Where would you rank Justin Herbert? Just right off the bat, not studying anything. Give me a number. It don't matter. Jacob, I'll let you go first. You seem like you're probably the most vocal when it comes to Justin Herbert in that regard.
I would say he's from rankings 12 to 15, somewhere in there.
Got it. Emilio?
I'd say it's probably from like 6 to 9.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I was going to say 8 to 10.
Yeah, and I think he's a top 10 quarterback too. I do. So what you're going to have is an aging Pat Mahomes, which last year people would say that he wasn't as good as he has been in the past. Pat Mahomes against Justin Herbert, who is set to be, like we said, some of us think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think that's going to be a good matchup, man. Friday Night Football on YouTube TV. That's going to be exclusive to YouTube TV. That'll be fun. And then, of course, that week 1 slate of games there. Pittsburgh at the Jets.
Revenge tour.
Oh, it is a revenge tour.
Yeah, come on now. Don't be farting on that, Clay.
Yeah,
Let's
you're
go.
right. That thought was not warranted.
It's even better because it's Rodgers and Fields.
Yeah.
No, it's Rodgers against his former team that made him fly across the country just to tell him to, the door combination changed and you're not welcome here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that you're right. Y'all just sold me on that.
How much do you think that house move
And
cost?
we know, Aaron's not the type of guy to have a chip on his shoulder, right?
Nah.
So that 1 o'clock window is going to be that'll be the game to watch there for sure. Then we get into the Fox games in that same 1 o'clock window. What catches your eye there? Was we got Bengals at the Browns,
Baker.
Baker at Atlanta. Who said that,
Jersey
Jacob?
guy.
Jacob, who said that?
I don't know, but they're dead to me.
So you're gonna have Baker going into Atlanta. That actually might be a good game, to be honest with you. That's probably the game out of that.
Revenge game. Come on, man.
And then in the 4 o'clock window, of course, at 4:05, you got the Titans at the Broncos. Don't really care.
Yeah.
49ers at the Seahawks, could care less. 4:25. What that tells me is you got your 20 minutes, Jacob, to go downstairs, use the bathroom, get something to eat, wash your hands before you get something to eat after you use the bathroom. But then you got
Brush
the
the
Texans.
crumbs out of the beard, right?
There you go. You got the Texans at the Rams. That might be a sneaky good game, but we know we're going to be watching Lions at the Packers. Then wrapping up the first Sunday slate of games in week 1 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson traveling to the Buffalo Bills facing Josh Allen. That's going to be a blast. So we get to watch Jaire play with the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. And then Monday Night Football, Vikings at the Bears. Y'all enjoy those NFC North matchups as much as I do?
Yeah.
You just want both of them to look like crap. You know what I mean? Fall flat on
They tie. I hope they freaking tie.
2-2, right, Tim?
That's
2-2.
right.
2-2.
Yeah, 2 safeties, and that's it.
What do you think, Emilio? What do you think about that week 1 slate? Man, it looks pretty good, no?
That's a nice slate. I mean, they talked about it, 272 games or something like that. They had to plan it out. Got to make sure that everybody gets it, and they guessed right having Rodgers go to the Steelers. And I mean, I think the schedule makers are happy with the way it laid out. Honestly, and it's pretty spread out. You're not overlapping too many games that you'd be worried about, missing. But yeah, a couple of divisionals in there. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, anything else here with the schedule y'all want to look at, boys, before we wrap up? Anything at all? Good? All right. That's it. That's the show. Appreciate everybody. This was a lot of fun. Again, we're going to be doing a giveaway this Saturday. The autographed Luke Musgrave card. Just make sure you're a member of the $3 tier in our Patreon group. We'll put your name on the wheel and spin it, see if who's the lucky winner. I want to give a shout out to Mountain Man Pack, who was the winner of the Enigbare card. So we've got 3 cards going out this month. This will be the 4th going out. And then we will also have the autographed Dorsey Levens jersey going out to one of the lucky people who donated to this awesome cause that we've got going on over here, where we are giving away this autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, donating to My Autism Connection. Basically, for every $5 you donate there, go into that link there, givebutter.com/KRPSJ5. Just click on my Twitter account at Packers_access. You'll see the link in there to take you directly to it. For every $5 you donate, you'll be entered in the contest 1 time. So that's a jersey that I paid for, and got the certificate of authenticity, all that good stuff. So when can we donate to Mac until Ask2O for this? Up until the last day of June, we're gonna run it all the way through the month of June there, 2-0 for this. So again, that's just we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna give it away. We'll probably do the first Saturday of July is when we will do the giveaway and announce it here live on here. And that's My Autism Connection, building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. All right. Anything else, boys? We good?
Good.
All right. Let's get out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Again, shout out to AFAM's mom. Appreciate you hanging out in the chat.
Nice lady. Real
we
nice.
didn't see her in here tonight, did we?
Yeah, she's at the club tonight.
Hey, fam, take your mom to get her hair done, man. What are you doing?
That's it. We're out. Appreciate everybody. As always, feels weird saying this after y'all made fun of AFAM's mom. Let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
There we go.
Bye, guys.